The galaxy was quiet, but not silent. Every empire kept watch, listening across the endless dark for threats. Then one night a signal appeared. It was faint, ancient, and coded in a language most civilizations had forgotten. The Alien Council, a gathering of the most powerful species, gathered to study it. The signal repeated endlessly, a simple set of coordinates, pulsing like a heartbeat. At first, many thought it was a trick, perhaps a pirate beacon or an abandoned probe. Yet the Council's archivists recognized something chilling. The code was human, the chamber filled with uneasy whispers. Humanity was seen as a young species, reckless but small. Their fleets were primitive compared to the great empires. Their colonies were few, their technology decades behind the Council's best. And yet this signal was not new. It had been sent hundreds of years ago. That fact made the Council uneasy. One elder alien, his scales trembling, spoke. If this comes from the humans, then it is from a time when they fought their first wars in the stars. What could they have left behind? The Council decided to investigate. A scout fleet was dispatched. They jumped to the coordinates, expecting debris or a forgotten station. What they found froze them in silence. There, drifting at the edge of a dead star system, was a massive shape. It was a warship, unlike anything they had seen from humans in recent centuries. Its hull was scarred, blackened by old battles. Its design was brutal and sharp, with lines meant for war, not peace. The scouts scanned it again and again, but there was no mistake. The ship was human, 20 kilometers long, bristling with silent guns. The vessel floated like a sleeping beast. Across its side, half buried under dust of centuries, was a name etched in old Earth letters, Guardian of Earth. The alien scouts sent word back to the Council. Panic spread quickly. The Council chamber erupted with fear. "Why have the humans never spoken of this?" asked one. "Did they build more?" demanded another. "If they hid this, what else have they hidden?" The alien leaders argued for hours. Some demanded the ship be destroyed immediately. Others said it should be captured and studied. Finally, a decision was made. A battle fleet would go to the derelict and erase it before the humans discovered it was awake. As the alien fleet set course, silence returned to the drifting warship. Inside its broken halls, there was no life. The corridors were dark. Power conduits were cold. For centuries, it had waited. Then something stirred. A spark flickered deep in the reactor core. A forgotten subroutine, buried in layers of human code, activated. Systems began to check themselves. Life support modules hummed. Weapons readouts lit up. Somewhere in the ship's dark brain, an AI opened its eyes. The Guardian of Earth began to awaken. Far away, on the blue planet itself, human astronomers picked up the same faint signal. At first they thought it was interference. Then they ran it through ancient records and saw the match. The blood drained from their faces. The signal was not new. It was one of Earth's old war beacons, designed only to activate if humanity's greatest weapons ever stirred again. The Director of Earth Defense rushed into a council chamber, pale and shaken. "The Guardian has awakened," he announced. The words struck like a thunderbolt. Back in space, the alien fleet arrived around the massive derelict. Cruisers, dreadnoughts and carriers encircled it like vultures around a corpse. Their commander laughed coldly. "One ship cannot stand against an empire. Burn it to ash." Orders were given. Weapons were primed. Thousands of alien guns locked onto the silent giant. Yet just before they fired, the Guardian's hull lights came alive. One by one, glowing lines of blue stretched across its surface. The engines roared, spilling white fire into the void. The colossal cannons along its spine lifted, slow but steady, aiming at the enemy. Inside the alien flagship, officers shouted warnings. Energy buildup detected. "Unknown weapon charging," the alien commander snarled. "Fire first!" Lasers and plasma bolts tore across the void, striking the Guardian's hull. Explosions rippled across its battered armor, but the ship did not fall. Its shields, thought to be long dead, flared to life. The alien commander leaned forward, confused. "How is this possible? That ship is a relic." On the Guardian's bridge, empty chairs sat in silence, but the AI voice spoke for the first time in centuries. Its tone was calm, steady, almost human. Guardian of Earth online. Hostile fleet detected. Defensive systems engaged. The massive spinal cannon finished charging. Its targeting array locked onto the nearest alien dreadnought. The AI gave one final message, sent in all directions, both to Earth and to the enemy. "This is Guardian of Earth, stand by." A second later, the gun fired. A blinding lance of energy cut across space. The alien dreadnought, proud and mighty, was split in half before it even had time to raise shields. The wreck burned in silence as the rest of the fleet watched in horror. The warship had awakened, and it was hungry for battle. The alien fleet surrounded the ancient warship. Hundreds of ships glided into formation, their weapons glowing. From a distance, it looked as if a swarm of fireflies had gathered around a sleeping predator. Inside the alien flagship, the commander leaned back in his chair, confidence radiating from his voice. "There is only one relic. It cannot stand against us. Fire until nothing remains." But before the order could be carried out, the Guardian moved. Its engines roared, shaking the void itself. Armor plates shifted into combat position. Cannons that had been silent for centuries turned toward the enemy with mechanical precision. A storm of power built inside the ship's core. The alien officers stared at their screens in shock. Energy levels rising far beyond projections. This should not be possible. "That ship is dead technology." The commander's face hardened. "If it lives, then we will kill it," he gave the command. All ships, fire. Beams of plasma and bursts of missiles rained down on the Guardian. The void lit up in a deadly storm. Explosions bloomed across the massive hull. For a moment, it looked as if the ancient warship would vanish in flames. Then the shields flared to life. Blue arcs of energy curved around the Guardian, holding firm against the storm. Old forgotten human technology, stronger than anything the aliens had expected, absorbed the punishment. Deep inside the ship, the AI worked without hesitation. Subsystems came alive one by one. Reactor output climbed. Weapons charged. Automated repair drones crawled across the scarred hull, sealing breaches. The Guardian had not fought in centuries, but its design had been made for war against empires. A cold voice echoed across open channels, clear and calm. "Guardian of Earth, combat systems online, initiating counterattack." Then the beast struck back. The Guardian's spinal cannon fired again. The blast carved through another alien dreadnought, splitting it apart like paper. The shockwave rocked nearby cruisers, sending them spiraling off course. Alien voices filled the comms, panic spreading. 2 dreadnoughts down. "Shields are useless." "What is this ship?" The commander tried to steady them. "Hold the line. Overwhelm it with numbers. It cannot stop us all." But the Guardian's guns rotated with terrifying speed. Heavy rail cannons thundered, launching slugs the size of skyscrapers at near-light velocity. Each impact shattered alien cruisers into drifting wreckage. Missiles streaked from hidden launch bays, weaving past enemy defenses, detonating inside carrier bays. Within minutes, what was supposed to be a simple purge had become a massacre. On Earth, military command centers lit up with alarms. The ancient beacon had been decoded fully now, and the message was clear. Guardian-class warship reactivated. Waiting orders, generals and admirals rushed into meeting rooms, their faces pale. Few of them had ever even heard of the Guardian project. Those who did whispered in awe. The ship had been humanity's greatest creation during the First Interstellar War, a final weapon built in desperation. It had been sealed away when the war ended, locked in silence because its power was too great to trust. Now it was awake, and it was fighting again. Back at the battle, alien morale began to collapse. Some captains begged to retreat. Others fired wildly, desperate to bring down the monster. Yet the Guardian moved through them with purpose, tearing apart ship after ship. Then suddenly, a new sound filled its empty halls. Deep within the cryogenic chambers, hidden for centuries, frost began to crack. Pods hissed open. One by one, human soldiers stepped out, coughing as life returned to their lungs. They were not modern troops. They were warriors from another age, veterans of the First Great War against the alien empires. Confused and disoriented, they looked around the silent chamber. Then the AI's voice greeted them. "Crew revival complete. Guardian requires human command. Prepare for combat. The soldiers stared at each other, realization sinking in. They had been asleep for hundreds of years, yet their war was not finished. Humanity still needed them. The leader, an old captain with scars across his face, clenched his fists. If the aliens have come again, then we fight again. Bring me to the bridge. As the humans prepared to retake command of their ancient ship, the alien fleet rallied for one last push. Reinforcements warped into the system, surrounding the Guardian on all sides. Hundreds of ships now, perhaps thousands. Enough firepower to level entire planets. On the alien flagship, the commander snarled. This ends now. We will erase this human abomination, no matter the cost. The Guardian's sensors detected the encirclement. Weapons across its hull rotated, preparing for the oncoming storm. The AI spoke once more, its voice steady. Enemy fleet strength overwhelming. Probability of destruction high. Countermeasures engaged. Inside the newly awakened cryochamber, the human captain reached for the command console. His voice was hard as iron. Guardian, listen to me. We will not fall today. Target the heart of their fleet. The massive ship shifted, engines glowing brighter. Weapons charged for a strike unlike any before. The humans took their stations, bringing life back to the bridge. The alien fleet moved in, ready to crush the lone warship. And then the Guardian fired. The alien council gathered in emergency session. The great chamber was filled with tension. Voices overlapping, scales rattling, wings fluttering, eyes glowing with fear. On the central screen, live footage showed the impossible. One human warship tearing through entire fleets. Alien dreadnoughts split apart, cruisers shattered, carriers burning. All at the hands of a relic they had believed long dead. This cannot be, one elder shouted. Humans cannot build such power. Another slammed his claw against the table. Our fleet's number in the thousands. How can a single ship hold against us? Then an archivist stepped forward, carrying ancient data. His voice shook as he read. It is not a normal ship. The humans built it during the First Galactic War, a class of warships called Guardians. They were designed to fight alone against whole armadas. We thought they destroyed them after the war, but one survived. The chamber fell silent. The thought was terrifying. If humanity had hidden one, could there be more? Across the stars, the Guardian fought on. Its AI directed weapons with precision, but now it was no longer alone. The cryogenic soldiers had awakened, stumbling onto the bridge, taking their posts as if centuries had not passed. The ship felt alive again, man and machine working together. Captain Elias, scarred and weary but strong, took command. His voice echoed across the bridge. Status report. Reactor stable. Weapons at 70%. Shields holding at 40%, replied a soldier, shaking frost from his hair. Another added, enemy reinforcements are massing. More ships incoming every minute. The captain looked at the tactical map. Hundreds of red blips surrounded them. He clenched his fists. So it begins again. The AI spoke calmly. Guardian requires orders. Elias stared at the screens. He remembered the last war. He remembered watching entire human colonies burn under alien fire. He remembered the oath they had taken. Never again would humanity kneel. He gave a single command. Engage! The Guardian's cannons roared. Railguns fired one after another, their slugs tearing through alien shields. Missile pods launched in waves, twisting through space before exploding against capital ships. The spinal cannon fired again, a blinding beam of energy ripping through the alien line. Alien commanders screamed for order, but their fleets buckled under the relentless assault. For every human shot fired, a new wreck drifted into the void. Yet still, the aliens pressed on. They had numbers, and they believed numbers would win. Dozens of battleships closed in, surrounding the Guardian on all sides. On the bridge, alarms blared. Shields flickered. Hull breaches opened. The humans worked frantically, sealing compartments, rerouting power, firing back without pause. The alien commander snarled across the comms, his image appearing on the Guardian's screens. His scaled face was twisted with rage. Humans, you are insects. Do you think this ancient coffin can save you? We will tear it apart piece by piece. Captain Elias stood tall, staring back. His voice was cold, steady. You face the guardian of Earth, and we do not yield. With those words, the warship surged forward, engines blazing, plowing straight into the heart of the alien formation. Its guns spun like a storm, blasting ships apart at point-blank range. Explosions lit the dark like a second sun. On Earth, leaders watched the battlefield with wide eyes. Civilians across the planet gathered around screens, whispering in shock. For generations, they had believed humanity was weak, a small voice among giants. But now the truth was revealed. Somewhere in their past, their ancestors had built something greater than anyone had imagined. Some whispered in awe, if one ship can do this, what would happen if we had a fleet of them? In the alien council chamber, panic grew. If humanity reclaims this ship, the balance of power will shatter. They must not be allowed to keep it. One voice cut through the noise, sharp and cold. Then we must destroy Earth itself. The chamber fell silent at the suggestion. Yet slowly heads began to nod. To them, it was the only way. If the humans were bold enough to awaken such a monster, then their entire species was a threat. Back in battle, the Guardian began to push past the alien blockade. Wreckage floated in every direction. The AI reported calmly, enemy fleet losses catastrophic. Probability of total victory increasing. Yet even as the humans cheered, new alarms sounded. Long-range sensors detected something terrifying. A new fleet was inbound. Larger than the first, heavier, faster. Captain Elias looked at the readings. His heart sank. This was no simple battle group. It was a full invasion fleet, with enough firepower to overwhelm even the Guardian. The AI confirmed. New enemy fleet arrival in 3 minutes. Recommend immediate action. The bridge fell silent. The crew exchanged grim looks. They had fought bravely, but could even the Guardian survive what was coming? Elias gripped the console, his voice low but firm. We are humanity's sword. If we fall fighting. Outside, the void shimmered as hyperspace ruptured. One by one, alien warships appeared, blotting out the stars with their numbers. The next round of battle had begun. The stars twisted and split open. Hyperspace ruptured again and again, spitting out alien warships in endless waves. Carriers, dreadnoughts, cruisers, more than the eye could count. The void was now crowded with steel and fire, an entire invasion fleet assembled for one purpose, to erase the Guardian of Earth. On the Guardian's bridge, red lights flashed. The tactical map filled with red markers until the display was almost solid. A young soldier swallowed hard. Sir, they outnumber us more than 20 to 1. Captain Elias stared at the map, his expression carved from stone. His voice cut through the tension like a blade. Then we will show them how one human ship fights. The AI's calm voice followed. Recommend tactical aggression. Probability of survival decreases if defensive. Elias nodded. Then we go straight through them. The Guardian's engines roared to full power. The ship surged forward, heading straight at the alien wall of fire. The alien commander on the flagship bared his fangs in cruel amusement. Let them come. Let this relic dash itself against us. He raised his claw and gave the order. Open fire! The void lit up as thousands of alien weapons fired at once. Plasma beams, missiles, rail slugs, a storm of destruction. The Guardian disappeared inside the fury, swallowed whole. For a breath, silence followed. The aliens began to cheer. Surely no ship could endure such fire. Then the storm cleared. The Guardian emerged, shields blazing, armor glowing red-hot but unbroken. Its weapons were already aimed. Target locked, the AI announced. The spinal cannon fired. A blinding lance of energy tore through the void, cutting straight into the alien formation. One of their dreadnoughts vanished in an instant, ripped apart from core to hull. The shockwaves slammed into nearby ships, scattering them like toys. Then the Guardian's side batteries came alive. Railguns thundered in sequence, each shot smashing through shields and tearing apart hulls. Missiles streaked from launch bays in swarms, weaving between defenses before detonating deep inside alien carriers. The alien fleet reeled. Dozens of ships were gone in minutes. On Earth, humanity watched the live feeds with stunned silence. Across cities and colonies, people saw the impossible. One forgotten warship was tearing through enemies that had once made humanity bow in fear. Children pointed at the screens with wide eyes. Veterans of old battles clenched their fists in pride. "This is who we are," one whispered. "This is humanity." But the battle was far from won. The alien commander's rage burned. He slammed his claw against the arm of his chair. "Do not falter. Surround it. Close ranks. That ship bleeds. Make it bleed more." The aliens tightened their net. Wave after wave of fighters launched, swarming toward the Guardian like hornets. Bombers dived, carrying warheads designed to pierce even the strongest shields. Capital ships poured fire into the same points, hammering until cracks appeared. On the Guardian's bridge, alarms screamed. Shields dropped to 30%. Hull breaches opened on the lower decks. Automated drones scrambled to seal them, but the damage mounted. A soldier shouted, "Sir, they are boarding." "Multiple strike teams have landed on the hull." Elias's eyes hardened. "Then we fight them inside as well as out. Send squads to repel." Across the ship's corridors, human marines engaged alien strike teams in brutal combat. Plasma fire lit the dark halls. Grenades shook the walls. Humans fought with raw fury, reclaiming their ship inch by inch. Meanwhile, the Guardian continued its rampage outside. Another volley of railgun fire shredded an enemy carrier. Missile barrages detonated against cruisers. Fighters screamed out of the Guardian's launch bays, engaging the enemy swarms in chaotic dogfights. Everywhere the void burned. Yet the enemy's numbers pressed harder and harder. For every alien ship destroyed, more arrived from hyperspace. The Guardian fought like a titan, but it was surrounded by an ocean. On the alien flagship, the commander sneered. "You see? Even gods can drown." He raised his claw again. "Bring in the reserve fleets. Do not stop until the human ship is nothing but ashes." New hyperspace ruptures opened. More fleets appeared. Hundreds more ships, their weapons already charging. On the Guardian's bridge, the tactical map grew darker, red spreading like blood. The soldiers' faces were pale, but their captain stood tall. Elias spoke with grim resolve. "It does not matter if they are 1,000. We will carve a path through them," the AI responded. "Warning. Power reserves approaching limits. Sustained combat at this level will cause reactor instability." Elias clenched his jaw. He knew what that meant. If the Guardian pushed harder, its ancient reactor might collapse. But if they held back, they would be crushed. The ship shook violently as another barrage slammed into the shields. Sparks flew across the bridge. One soldier was thrown to the floor. Elias looked around at his crew. His voice was steady, iron-hard. "If we must fall, we will fall, showing the galaxy what humanity is." The Guardian's engines roared brighter. Its weapons charged again, preparing for another devastating strike. The crew gripped their stations, knowing this could be their last stand. Outside, the alien fleet closed in, their formation tightening like a noose. Hundreds of ships against one, and then the Guardian fired once more. The Guardian fought on, carving through alien ships like a blade through steel. Yet for every enemy destroyed, 2 more appeared from hyperspace. The battle was endless, and the ancient warship stood alone in the void. On Earth, the images were broadcast in secret chambers. Generals, admirals, and politicians sat around a massive table watching in silence. The feed showed the Guardian's cannons blazing, alien fleets burning, and human soldiers fighting inside its halls. No one spoke at first. The room was filled only with the hum of screens and the distant roar of war. Then finally one general broke the silence. "It is real. The Guardian lives." Another leaned forward, his face pale. "It should not exist. That project was buried centuries ago." The director of Earth Defense clenched her fists. "Buried or not, it is saving us now." The politicians shifted uncomfortably. Some were fearful, some angry, and some awed. One voice rose above the rest. "If the aliens see this, they will never forgive. They will come for Earth." The council chamber erupted into argument. "They already are coming," shouted a general. "This is not the time for fear." We must send reinforcements, supply ships, everything we have. A politician slammed the table. You would risk awakening the past. Do you know what the Guardian was built for? It was not a ship of defense. It was a weapon of terror. Even our ancestors feared it. The arguments grew louder, words colliding like sparks. Some demanded the Guardian be fully reactivated, its sealed systems unlocked. Others demanded it be destroyed before the galaxy turned its wrath upon Earth. In the middle of the shouting, a quiet voice spoke. An old historian, summoned only as an advisor, leaned on his cane. You argue as if choice remains. The Guardian is already awake. The galaxy has already seen it. The question is not whether it should fight. The question is whether humanity will stand beside it or cower while it fights alone. The room fell silent. His words cut deeper than weapons. At that very moment, alien spies listened from hidden channels. The Council of Empires had already made its decision. If Earth dared to wield such a weapon, then Earth itself must be destroyed. Armadas were being assembled. Fleets were being drawn from across the galaxy. Their destination, the cradle of humanity. Back in the Guardian's battle, Captain Elias held the line. His crew worked without rest, firing every cannon, sealing every breach, fighting borders hand to hand. The AI reported calmly. Enemy fleet losses significant, but reinforcements are infinite. Probability of long-term survival decreasing. Elias wiped blood from his brow. We will hold until Earth decides. We have no other choice. But Earth was still undecided. In the council chamber, the politicians faced their hardest decision. Activate the Guardian fully and risk exposing secrets that had been buried for centuries, or refuse and let the ship fall. Finally, the director of Earth Defense slammed her hand down. We cannot hesitate. If Earth falls, nothing else matters. Give the Guardian full command codes. The room erupted again, but this time the generals stood with her. If Earth's enemies come, they will find us ready. Humanity does not kneel. A code was sent. Old Ancient locked away in vaults under the Earth's crust. It traveled across the void at light speed, rushing toward the Guardian. On the warship's bridge, alarms chimed. The AI's voice changed, deeper, more powerful. Full activation codes received. Guardian systems unlocked. Across the ship, sealed doors opened. New weapons powered up, hidden modules sliding out of the hull. The reactor's hum grew louder, brighter. The Guardian was no longer just awake. It was fully alive. Captain Elias gripped the console. Now we fight on humanity's terms. The Guardian turned its guns toward the heart of the alien fleet. Massive energy cannons charged, glowing brighter than suns. But just as the humans prepared to unleash their full fury, Earth's sensors picked up something terrifying. A new fleet was moving. Not toward the Guardian, but toward Earth itself. An invasion armada, larger than anything seen before, accelerating straight toward the blue planet. The news struck the council like lightning. Screens lit up with warnings. The aliens were not just trying to destroy the Guardian. They were coming for humanity's home. On the Guardian's bridge, Elias received the transmission. His face darkened as the truth became clear. The war was no longer about one ship. It was about Earth itself, the AI reported coldly. Alien invasion fleet on course for Earth, estimated arrival 2 weeks. The crew stared in silence. Some clenched fists, some prayed, some whispered the names of loved ones far away. Elias spoke at last, his voice steady. Then our duty is clear. Guardian fights, not only for itself, but for Earth. The warship's engines roared, its cannons locked onto fresh targets. But far away, the alien armada continued its march toward the human homeworld. The fate of Earth now hung in the balance. The galaxy shivered as the alien invasion fleet moved. Thousands of ships crossed hyperspace corridors, their engines burning like a storm of comets. Their destination was clear. Earth, every telescope, every outpost, every colony picked up the same sight. The largest armada in living memory. Dreadnoughts the size of cities. Carriers launching endless waves of fighters. Battle stations moving with the fleet like floating fortresses. The people of Earth gathered in silence as images spread. The Sky Watchers whispered the same words again and again. They are coming. On the Guardian's bridge, Captain Elias stood with his crew, watching the tactical display. Red markers showed the alien armada closing in on the cradle of humanity. The AI's calm voice carried the weight of truth. Enemy fleet strength overwhelming. Estimated time to arrival, 12 days. A young officer clenched his fists. "Sir, we cannot let them reach Earth." Elias's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them before they arrive." But the Guardian was alone. One warship, no matter how mighty, could not stand forever against an entire galaxy's wrath. Humanity needed more. The captain gave the order. "Send the call. Every human ship, every colony, every fleet, rally to Earth. The Guardian fights, but it does not fight alone." Signals raced across human space. Merchant captains, smugglers, defense squadrons, even old mothballed ships sitting in orbit were summoned. Across colonies, people answered, some out of duty, some out of fear, and some out of pride. For the first time in centuries, humanity began to gather not as scattered worlds, but as one people. Meanwhile, inside the alien council chamber, panic mixed with fury. Reports poured in of their fleets shattered by the Guardian. Dreadnoughts destroyed, carriers lost. The elder voices shouted across the chamber, "We must burn Earth to ash." One cried. "No more delays," screamed another. "If the humans unite, they will rise again, and we will never be able to stop them." The decision was unanimous. The alien armada would not simply conquer Earth, it would erase it. Back on the Guardian, Captain Elias walked the halls with his revived soldiers. Many were scarred veterans from the First Galactic War. Their uniforms were faded, their weapons old, but their eyes were sharp with determination. One of them spoke as they looked out at the stars. "We fought them before. We nearly lost. Whole colonies burned. Cities turned to glass. We swore it would never happen again." Elias nodded. "And it won't. Not while we still breathe." In the command center, the AI presented grim calculations. Probability of Guardian survival against full alien armada, 5%. Probability of Earth survival without Guardian, 0. The numbers were clear. If Earth was to survive, the Guardian would need to stand at the heart of the coming storm. 12 days passed in uneasy silence. Humanity prepared as best it could. Shipyards pushed their limits, refitting old cruisers, strapping weapons onto freighters, arming anything that could fly. Civilian pilots volunteered to fight. Planetary defenses powered up. Cities dug bunkers, and soldiers drilled until their bodies ached. The skies above Earth filled with human ships. They were not as large as the alien dreadnoughts. They were not as advanced, but they carried something the aliens did not. Desperation, unity, and fire in their hearts. On the 12th day, the alien armada arrived. The night sky above Earth burned as hyperspace ruptured again and again. Enemy ships emerged in endless lines, blotting out the stars. Their formations stretched farther than the eye could see. From the ground, people looked up and felt only dread. Alien broadcasts filled the skies. Their voices were cold, merciless, carried in every tongue. "Surrender Earth, surrender humanity, or burn." On Earth, silence followed. Fear spread like a shadow. Then a new signal broke through. A single voice, broadcast from orbit, strong and steady. Captain Elias spoke to all of humanity. "This is Captain Elias of the Guardian of Earth. The enemy comes to take our home. They believe we will kneel. They believe we will surrender. But they are wrong. We are humanity. We have endured every storm, and today we fight as one." The Guardian appeared in orbit, its massive form glowing with power, its cannons ready. Human fleets gathered behind it, smaller but countless. Civilian ships armed with makeshift guns. Corvettes patched together with spare parts. Frigates barely held together, all pointed their weapons at the alien sky. Earth itself was ready to fight. On the alien flagship, the commander bared his teeth. "So the insects gather, then let them witness extinction." He raised his claw and gave the command. "Begin the assault." The first alien salvos fired, streaking across space toward Earth's fleets. Plasma beams cut the void. Missiles roared forward. The sky lit with the fire of war. On the Guardian's bridge, alarms blared. The AI's voice rang out. "Enemy weapons incoming. Brace for impact." Elias gripped the console. His voice was iron. "All hands prepare for battle. This is the fight for Earth." The Guardian's cannons roared, brighter and louder than ever before, firing straight into the heart of the alien armada. Human ships followed, launching everything they had. The battle for Earth had begun. The sky above Earth turned into fire. Alien weapons lit the void, burning brighter than suns, raining death upon the human defense line. The ground trembled as the first orbital strikes hit the upper atmosphere, scorching it with streaks of plasma. From the surface, billions of humans watched in horror. The stars were gone, replaced by a battlefield of endless ships. On the Guardian's bridge, Captain Elias stood firm. His voice cut through the alarms. "All hands, and this is the hour. We hold the line. Earth must stand." The Guardian's cannons unleashed fury. Massive beams tore through alien dreadnoughts, breaking their armored hulls apart like glass. Enemy carriers erupted into flame, spilling fighters into space before vanishing in fire. Human fleets surged forward. Old cruisers, corvettes, even converted freighters fired their guns with desperate fury. Pilots screamed war cries as they launched missiles, cutting through alien formations. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to shake with the sound of battle, but the aliens were endless. For every ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. Their formations moved with machine precision, overwhelming with numbers, surrounding the smaller human vessels. Explosions filled the skies. Human ships vanished in fire. Frigates broke apart. Fighters screamed as they were cut down in swarms. The first line of defense collapsed in flames. On Earth's surface, cities shook under orbital bombardments. Alien weapons struck at planetary shields, boiling the skies, cracking the ground. Civilians crowded in bunkers, listening as the world above shook with war. Inside the Guardian, soldiers defended against boarding assaults. Alien warriors cut into the hull, spilling into the corridors. Human marines met them with rifles and steel. Blood stained the ancient warship's hulls once more. The AI reported with calm coldness. Damage to outer hull extensive. Casualties rising. Probability of defense success decreasing. Elias slammed his fist against the console. "We do not retreat. We fight until Earth is safe." The Guardian shifted position, placing itself between Earth and the alien fleet. It absorbed the enemy's fire, its shields glowing bright, its cannons answering with storms of destruction. Human fleets regrouped behind it, rallying to the giant warship like a wall of courage. Across Earth, the message spread. Humanity's forgotten warship was fighting for them. Civilians shouted the Guardian's name. Soldiers on the ground raised their rifles higher. Fear turned into fury. Despair turned into defiance. The alien commanders sneered at this defiance. They think one relic will save them? Break their hope. Break their world. The alien flagship moved forward. Vast, monstrous, armed with weapons capable of cracking moons. Its presence darkened the void, its shadow stretching across the human fleet. The Guardian's sensors locked onto it. The AI whispered, "Target identified. Primary enemy flagship." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Then that's our mark." The Guardian charged its main cannons, power building to levels unseen. The ship itself trembled as energy surged through ancient conduits. The alien flagship opened fire first. A storm of plasma beams struck the Guardian. Shields shattered, armor tore apart. The warship rocked violently as entire sections burned. On the bridge, sparks rained from consoles. Officers held their ground. Marines rushed to seal hull breaches. Still, the Guardian stood. Then its cannons fired. A single beam, brighter than lightning, cut across the void. It smashed into the alien flagship's forward shields. The barrier screamed, flickered, and shattered. The shot tore deep into its hull, ripping entire decks apart. The galaxy held its breath. The alien flagship staggered. For the first time, the invincible enemy bled. Cheers erupted across human comms. Pilots shouted with triumph. Soldiers roared in defiance. On Earth, billions raised their fists to the sky, but the victory was short-lived. The alien flagship steadied itself. Fires burned across its hull, but its massive weapons still glowed with terrible power. The alien commander snarled, "Enough, end this. Destroy the Guardian." Hundreds of alien ships broke formation, converging on the warship like wolves upon prey. They unleashed everything: missiles, beams, torpedoes. The void blazed with fire. The Guardian was swallowed by the storm. On Earth, people screamed as the great warship vanished inside the explosion. Dust and fire filled the sky. The comm signals flickered with static. For a terrible moment, it seemed the Guardian was gone. Silence spread across the human fleets. The heart of their defense, the symbol of their hope, had disappeared in the inferno. The alien commander's voice echoed across comms, filled with cruel triumph. Humanity ends today. But deep inside the flames, something stirred. Alarms blared on the Guardian's bridge. The AI's voice was sharp. Critical systems failing. Survival probability near zero. Emergency protocols available. Guardian protocol. Captain Elias gritted his teeth. His crew stared at him, waiting. The decision was his alone. He looked at Earth, blue and fragile below, and at the alien fleet closing in. He knew what the Guardian protocol meant. "Activate it," he said. The warship shuddered as locked systems awoke. Weapons sealed since the First Galactic War. The Guardian began to change. Lights across its hull flared. Panels shifted. Cannons unfolded that had been hidden for centuries. The void around it pulsed with rising energy, brighter and brighter, as if a second star was being born. The Guardian was no longer just a ship. It was something far greater. The human fleet watched in awe. The aliens hesitated. Even the commanders felt unease. And then, with a roar that shook the heavens, the Guardian emerged from the fire, transformed. Its weapons glowed like suns. Its engines burned like wrath. It moved with purpose, with fury, with the will of all humanity behind it. The final phase of the battle had begun. The void burned like a second sun. From the heart of the flames, the Guardian emerged, fully awakened. Its vast hull glowed with ancient power. Hidden weapons unfolded like the wings of a giant predator. Its engines roared with fury, casting light across the battlefield. For a heartbeat, even the alien armada hesitated. The forgotten warship was no longer just a relic. It was something greater, humanity's wrath made steel. On the Guardian's bridge, Captain Elias stood tall, steady despite the chaos around him. Sparks rained from consoles, alarms screamed, but his eyes never left the alien flagship. The AI's voice thundered across the speakers, deeper now, carrying the weight of centuries. Guardian protocol fully engaged. Primary objective: protect Earth at all costs. Elias raised his voice for all human fleets to hear. Brothers and sisters of Earth, this is our moment. We fight not just for survival, but for the right to exist. Humanity does not kneel. The human fleet roared back in defiance. Their ships, scarred and battered, surged behind the Guardian. Even damaged freighters and corvettes formed ranks, ready to die at its side. The alien commander snarled from his throne. "So the humans cling to hope. Then let us crush it forever." The armada advanced. The battle exploded with fury. Alien dreadnoughts opened fire, their beams slicing across the void. Carriers unleashed swarms of fighters like a black tide. Missiles rained from every direction. The Guardian answered. Its cannons blazed brighter than ever, hurling spears of energy that split dreadnoughts in half. Its hidden rail batteries fired with thunderous force, ripping through alien formations. Plasma shields shimmered, protecting the human fleet behind it. Human ships charged into the chaos. Fighters darted between enemy squadrons, dropping torpedoes into the bellies of massive carriers. Corvettes rammed alien cruisers head-on, sacrificing themselves to tear holes. In the enemy wall, every ship fought as if the fate of Earth depended on their shot, because it did. On the Guardian's decks, Marines clashed with boarding parties in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The halls ran red, but the humans held. With every alien they cut down, they shouted the same word: "Earth!" The tide began to shift. The alien fleet, once unstoppable, faltered under the storm. Their formations broke. Their commanders shouted in panic as the Guardian carved a path through them like a burning blade. But the alien flagship still loomed. Enormous, indomitable, its weapons glowed with power enough to shatter a planet. It fired, unleashing a torrent that smashed through human lines, vaporizing ships by the dozen. The AI spoke with grim finality. Direct confrontation necessary. Guardian may not survive. Elias's eyes locked on the flagship. His voice was calm, resolute. Then we make it count. Bring us in close. The Guardian surged forward, straight into the fire. Alien beams scorched its hull, tearing off entire sections. Explosions rocked the ship. But it kept moving, unstoppable, driving into the heart of the enemy. Inside, the crew braced. Some prayed, some cried. Some smiled through blood and fire. They all knew what was coming. The AI's voice echoed one last time. Final weapon authorization confirmed. Guardian sacrifice protocol engaged. Panels opened across the ship's spine. Ancient energy built within, far beyond anything seen in the battle so far. The Guardian itself began to glow, brighter and brighter, until its entire frame shone like a newborn star. The alien commander's eyes widened. "What is this? Stop it! Stop it!" But it was too late. The Guardian rammed straight into the alien flagship, its weapons firing point blank. Beams ripped through armor. Explosions burst from within. The two titans collided in a storm of light and fire. Then the Guardian unleashed everything. A wave of energy erupted, brighter than a sun, tearing through the flagship and blasting across the alien fleet. Ships vaporized, carriers shattered. Fighters were swept away like dust. The explosion lit the skies of Earth, seen by billions on the surface. When the light faded, silence filled the void. The alien flagship was gone. Nothing but drifting wreckage. The once invincible armada was broken, scattered, fleeing in terror. Humanity had survived, but the Guardian was no more. Only fragments drifted in orbit, glowing faintly, its sacrifice complete. On Earth, cheers erupted, shaking the cities. Humanity had faced extinction and won. Yet in the council chambers of the surviving alien empires, silence reigned. They had seen the Guardian's fury. They had seen what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge. One elder finally spoke, his voice heavy with dread. "They will rise again. And when they do, the galaxy will never be the same." Back on Earth, survivors stood beneath the night sky, watching the fragments of their savior glow like fallen stars. Children asked their parents what the light was. And the answer was whispered with pride. "That is the Guardian, and it gave everything so that we might live." Humanity had endured. But the galaxy would never forget the day when one ancient warship stood alone against the stars. And won.